about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
For tuning in, 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So this September 11th is marking now 2 decades, 24 years since it happened. And, I remember the day like it was yesterday. My baby, my son was really young. I was getting up with him, feeding him. Husband was out with the dog. Our brother-in-law called because he was on the bridge when the in New York when I think it was not the Washington State, I think the Brooklyn, might have been the Washington Bridge or the Brooklyn Bridge when the towers were hit. Now I remember watching the first tower, and my friend called me up because it was her kid's birthday that day, and we were talking about the party. And I told her, you might want to watch the news, because she was everything was just starting to happen. And, she's like, oh, my God. And we were watching the news. And then I'm like, I have to go. And I had to, we both got off the phone, and we both kind of, started to reach out to who we knew. And then we saw the second tower hit. And then the towers fell. And we were just in absolute shock. And thousands of people died that day. And the numbers keep rising from those who have 9/11 related illness, from the asbestos, from the chemicals, from the first responder work. And seeing our country attacked like that on multiple fronts, the Pentagon, plane flown into the Pentagon. And then Flight 93, very bravely regained by the passengers once they had word of what was happening. Thank God cell phones were just starting to be available and in use, and had the type of range where people could call their loved ones on the plane. And they were able to thwart even more deaths and more disaster. So, all of us, looking at what happened, 19 hijackers, radicalized and a part of Al-Qaeda. Many of us have a story of somebody who died, somebody we knew. Many of you know my story. A couple weeks prior, or about maybe a week and a half prior, somebody walks into my urgent care. Very strange demeanor, was pleasant and was cordial. But it was a look on his face I have never seen in my years of training. I was only in my 20s, so I was in my late 20s, so I really didn't have that much experience. So I'm like, well, that I've just never seen that look before. But he came into the urgent care, left, and then a week or two later, when I was watching, what the coverage of 9/11, I told my husband, I just saw that person in the urgent care. Now, this was before HIPAA. Even though HIPAA started to exist, this was before the 2002 warning to everybody saying, look, you don't tell people who you saw. And usually I did it. It's just I was in such shock. I go, I just saw that guy on, at the urgent care. And he's like, no, you didn't. And I go, well, how do you know? He goes, because he flew a plane into the World Trade Center. I go, no, I saw him. So I was like, maybe I'm mistaken. So I raced down to the urgent care, leave the baby with him, raced down to the urgent care, and the front desk lady was shaking. And I go, they were here. And she's like, yes. I go, I've got to see the chart. And she's like, the FBI took it, or the authorities came in and took it. So I remember talking to my boss going, why the hell would, one, they be in Vegas, but two, why would somebody about to do a suicide mission come into an urgent care to get treated for a simple, cold infection, whatever? He had said probably because they were not allowed to compromise the mission, and being sick would have compromised the mission. So they were probably told whoever was sick had to get taken care of. And then the next day, one of my patients, who was a stripper, had said that they were in her strip club. And she said they were just sitting there kind of motionless, and they stood out because everybody else is kind of dancing and throwing money and doing, but they just sat there. I go, they had this look, and I described the look that I saw on Muhammad Atta, and she's like, yes, that's the look they had. I go, I guess that's the look. I didn't know, but I guess that's the look of them knowing what they're about to do and about to die, and the look of a terrorist. And it just sent chills down my spine. And of course, we go back thinking, well, what could we have done? She's like, gosh, maybe I should have spiked their drinks. And I'm thinking I should have given them the wrong medicine. And you go back and you just tear yourself apart that you could have possibly, if you knew, thwarted something like this. But who knew? Nobody knew. And so a lot of us have, our connections with what happened with 9/11. That one was mine. And it's a look I'll never forget. It's an encounter I'll never forget. I just don't understand. I mean, I guess they were planning in Las Vegas. They went to Las Vegas to do part of their planning, but they also went to other cities too. And then they tried to, I guess, enjoy their last final days. And unfortunately, they did what they did. And so September 11th, to me, reminds us that, as much as we may be in our bubble and we may think that our neighbors love us and our friends love us, there's hate. And that we always need to be on guard, that there are individuals out there and countries out there or extremist groups that have no problem with going against, what should be human ethics and love and compassion to murder and be so vicious about it. And we learned in terms of, how we need to prepare ourselves and not allow box cutters on planes. And now we have all these new rules and regulations going on planes. But I don't think we learned the lesson that there are people out there that hate us. And thank God for our government, FBI and CIA who are working 24/7 to make sure we don't get attacked again, and our, Homeland Security departments. But, we're not liked. We're not favored. And, 9/11 reminds us that we could be very, very vulnerable if we're not strong ourselves and united. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So yesterday, after I got off air, I came home to check on our new puppy that we had adopted, and I was talking to my son, and I slowly get an alert, or I suddenly get an alert that Charlie Kirk was shot. And, this happened in the afternoon. I know some of you listen to my show live, some of you listen to my show late night, and so I, wasn't on air when this happened, but when I heard, I tried to get as much information as possible. When I found out that he was shot in the neck, and then you saw the videos, there were reports that, he didn't make it. He didn't survive it. And then we were told by Fox News and some other outlets that he was in critical condition and at the hospital. Unfortunately, they say he was pronounced dead at the hospital. His team was quick to get him to the hospital. We heard reports that the team was able to clamp the jugular. It appears that Charlie Kirk, Turning Point USA founder, father of two, conservative activist, was murdered when he was at Utah Valley University doing a debate and a speech, and greeting a crowd of thousands. And so when you saw that he was shot in the jugular, and people asked, they said he was shot in the carotid, he was shot. It's hard to tell in the video, but when you saw the dark blood, the venous blood come out, and the way it came out, it just horrifying. And our family was just in shock. I knew Charlie Kirk. It's just knowing that he has young kids, and so I didn't think he survived it. We had hope when we heard that he was in the hospital and he was in critical condition, but unfortunately, they did make the announcement that he didn't survive. The suspect is still at large. Now, originally, they arrested somebody. And witnesses were trying to get on the cameras saying that's not him. That's not the guy. They got the wrong guy. And the cameras turned that off. The cameras would not cover the witness statements saying you didn't get the right guy. And I think it was an older professor that was apprehended and thrown to the ground. And so apparently he, from what I understand, has been released. Then there was another person of interest, Governor Cox, had made a very heartwarming and heartfelt message when they were reporting the early part of their investigation. And he did not necessarily call him a suspect, but he said a person of interest. So that could have been a witness, somebody they thought that might have been in relationship or somehow involved. I know there were a lot of questions about how many people could have been involved. The shooter was apparently on a roof, and that followed a question that was asked by how many people who are transgender have committed mass shootings. And then very ironically and tragically, the gun that was found, apparently there were inscriptions on bullets that from what we are being told had, shall we say, statements about transgender ideology and fascism, and so we're trying to piece together what exactly is going on. But as of this morning, the suspect was at large. However, just a minute ago, the FBI has released photos of the suspect, and so what we can tell you is that the images looks like it's a young man who was wearing a shirt that you see an American flag on his shirt. I can't necessarily see. He looks like a white male. He looks like he's about maybe 5'7", 5'8". It's hard to tell in this picture. He was wearing sunglasses and a hat. He was clean shaven. And this person of interest, these photos are now out there. I can't say 100% that this is the suspect, but they are saying that this is a person of interest. Obviously, at a university, there are video footage. There are cameras. We just don't know how good the video cameras were. So now the FBI has said, we are asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. Call 1-800-CALL-FBI, 1-800-CALL-FBI. And you see the two images. He's slender. I mean, he looks to me, again, depending on the angle, that he could be anywhere from maybe, 5'7" to 5'11". He looks like he's about maybe 150 to 175 pounds, depending on his height. And so hopefully they find the person. This really rings. I know everybody's going back and forth going, well, wait, the way he shot him, it's supposed to be a hired hit. They would have hit him in the chest. They wouldn't have hit him in the neck, or were they aiming for the neck? You don't usually aim for the neck. It's just crushing to think that there was planning in this, and that it's even more crushing to hear what people are saying online. We have a murder of a father of two, despite their political beliefs, and you see people talking about how I don't even want to reiterate what they're saying, and I'm kind of blown away because whenever somebody is killed, okay, we're as humans, we're supposed to show empathy. I mean, even with football games, when there's an injured player on a football team, even if that helps your fantasy football team, right, or your draft picks, even if it helps your wages or helps your team, you still feel bad. I don't want to see any player injuries. Well, that's the humanism in us. And I rarely hear a football fan say, oh, I'm so glad so-and-so got injured. Because now our team, that's not how, if you're a really true football fan, that's not how you want your team to win. You want your team to beat the person who's not injured. And so, we have that ability as humans to root for one side, the Democrats or the Republicans, but still be human, still understand that something is very tragic. But not what I'm seeing online. And I'm looking at some of these liberal statements as, really? Listen, you could disagree with things Charlie Kirk said. You could disagree with Biden. You could disagree with Kamala Harris. But you never sacrifice your human ethics for politics. If not, they win. Whether it's the media or the powers that be want us to go into a civil war. They want us to hate each other. They want us to fight over red and blue. I was on a chat with other doctors who were all getting all heated up and upset about RFK Jr. And I'm like, look, patience, America comes first. Politics need to be out of medicine. And here we are with somebody getting shot and killed, and Charlie Kirk was about free speech. He was bringing back debate to college campuses. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done debate class, but when I had to take debate class when I was younger, they asked me how I felt about a certain issue. And I would tell them, and they go, okay, you are now assigned to the opposite. You now have to defend the opposite. And I'm like, But the reason why they did that is they wanted you to know one had a debate and one had to look at both sides and to have a professional, intelligent conversation about something without it getting emotional. Well, what Charlie Kirk would do is when he would come onto these campuses, he would say, whoever disagrees with me can be in the front of the line and we'll have a debate. And that's exactly what is supposed to happen on college campuses. But the powers that be want to silence a voice that disagrees with them. President Trump almost died from an assassination attempt, and he had 2 assassination attempts. I mean, we had Minnesota Congress people shot at. Political violence should never be tolerated by any side. But it seems to be happening more and more. And these individuals doing it are getting the wind beneath their wings by these haters. And I am just blown away because there are intelligent people who are actually on social media celebrating this. They're sick in the head. Somebody murdered brutally in front of thousands of supporters. We all should be speaking out against it. And we should be hoping that nobody, right, left, independent, nobody gets hurt when they're trying to bring debate. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, a few years back, one of my listeners asked about the whole sexual landscape at a hospital with doctors and nurses. And I think, they were watching Scrubs or something, and some doctor was sleeping with the nurse. And they asked Daliah, how often does that happen? Well, I was busy, as a medical student, as an intern. I was too busy for sex. I was also engaged to my husband and then married my husband. So I never really had, I wasn't in that scene. But yes, there were stories of people having sex in the stairwell, late night on call. I would see staff throw themselves at doctors flirt. It was pretty rampant, but patients came first. And I never heard of a physician or a surgeon or an anesthesiologist or a nurse putting patients at risk and skipping out in the middle of a treatment or surgery to have sex until now. So an anesthesiologist in England allegedly left a patient while they were in the OR to go have sex with a nurse in an empty, adjourning OR. The anesthetist, they call them consultant anesthetists, so I think that's the anesthesiologist. In England, they call senior doctors, who we would call probably attendings. Junior doctors would be residents. So they have different terms, but a consultant anesthetist, Suhail Anjem, I'm assuming, is an anesthesiologist. And he was discovered in a compromising position with another nurse in the operating theater, which is the OR, at Tameside General Hospital. Now, this happened 2 years ago, about September 16th, 2023. He is the father of three, and he was caught tying up his scrub pants. His colleague, referred to as Nurse C, was described as having her pants around her knees with her underwear on display when the pair was surprised by another nurse. Now, a news outlet in Manchester was told that Dr. Anjem left the patient who was having laparoscopic gallbladder surgery. He knew Nurse C was likely to be nearby, and apparently they found that to be an opportune time to have sex. He now has taken a job in Pakistan. He says he felt shame and guilt at this horribly embarrassing incident. He says he doesn't know why it happened. I don't know what I was thinking. And I think he's still married. But one, it's tragic to think that he's cheating on his wife. But two, you have a patient on the table in the OR. I know everybody's asking for socialized medicine. I would maybe, wait. I would hold off until we get a little bit more detail about what exactly is happening in these ORs and socialized medicine countries. But you have a patient who could die on the table. When you anesthetize them, you're ensuring they could still breathe and that their brain is getting oxygen, but that they aren't moving and they're not sensing pain. Because if somebody is operating, especially laparoscopically is where we use, in England they call it keyhole surgery. Laparoscopically is where we use, rather than cutting open the body using retractors to find the gallbladder, that's called an open cholecystectomy. The laparoscopic is where you do little baby incisions and put trocars in that can hold the micro instruments or the camera. And laparoscopic surgery is fascinating. That came out, that was started to be really used, and doctors were being trained on that in the 90s. And it was amazing and so groundbreaking in terms of minimizing post-operative care, minimizing post-operative pain, minimizing post-operative infections, because you were able to get into the body through a keyhole or through laparoscopically without necessarily cutting open a big wide area. Now, for C-section, you have to open it up to pull a baby out, so it's going to be a big scar. But now they could take so many things out of the body without necessarily needing to cut open and so it's with stretching of the skin, they could do a lot where they can now remove gallbladders, remove appendixes. It's fascinating. So, but still, we cannot underestimate how serious the situation can be for somebody who is under anesthesia. And the anesthesiologist is supposed to be awake. Now, when I was in training, there was an anesthesiologist who fell asleep. He would start to snore. That's how we knew. We would assume the anesthesiologist was awake and watching, and we would have to wake up the anesthesiologist. That was scary. But most anesthesiologists, they are so crucial and integral, and I am grateful for their care. And they are there's this hierarchy in medicine where surgeons, seem to be the top breed, the alphas. But I got to tell you, surgeons are nothing without that anesthesiologist. And so, as far as I'm concerned, it's a management, and as well as the nurses and the scrub techs, God bless them. It's a team. So how could he abandon his team to go and have sex? I'd be interested to see what the surgeon did. Now, the surgeon's like, look, I just need to keep working. She's under anesthesia. I mean, maybe what I would have done is, is stop the surgery and said, look, I'm not going to continue until I know you're back. Where are you going? You're just not supposed to leave. Let alone leave to have sex? Are you kidding me? Who knows what the hell is going on? So Andrew Malloy is general medical counsel, I guess legal, told a hearing of the Medical Practitioners Tribunal Service that Dr. Anjem was the anesthesiologist for a series of 5 operations taking place that morning. During the third case, halfway through the procedure, he decided to get his groove on. And you're not supposed to be doing that. Now, somebody had asked, well, what about these commando procedures that could go 8-9 hours? These procedures where they're hours long. What happens if you have to pee? Well, you notify somebody, they come, and they take your place. Now, I don't know if he notified somebody to come and take his place, but you are allowed to go to the bathroom. I mean, we don't give you a little urinal. We don't give you a porta potty. Now, it's not sterile. So if you do have to, even though your side is the clean side. It's not the sterile side. It's the clean side. And then we put up a barrier and all that. You can go to the bathroom, but somebody else has to take over. So I don't know if, let me see. Sorry about that. I want to hear. They say this was not an unusual occurrence, and Dr. Anjan was not the only anesthetist to do this. When this happens, they would get cover from an anesthetic nurse. There is no dispute that he indicated to anesthetic nurse SK, that he was going to the bathroom. She was an experienced anesthetic nurse, and the bathroom was only a short distance. And he said the scrub nurse, referred to as NT, went to look for some equipment to prepare for the next procedure, and then nurse NT found them messing around. So it looks like he did have somebody, he had a nurse, but this is just an embarrassment to the medical profession. This is not what you're supposed to do. You know, we know that doctors have sex, nurses have sex, okay? We're humans. But patients don't really want to know that. They want to know that our focus when it's working hours and even non-working hours is about the patient, and that we are always thinking and making sure that the patient is fine. We don't want to think that somebody has secondary gain, other intentions, is getting excited about their golf game. And unfortunately, we do have some doctors out there who are complete idiots. Sorry. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. You know, we've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Not only do we say goodbye to Charlie Kirk, we also say goodbye to Polly Holiday. She played Flo on Alice and also had, I think, a sitcom following Flo's Yellow Rose, I believe, if I remember correctly. Well, Polly Holiday has now left us at the age of 88. She kind of had that signature statement to Mel in Mel's Diner, "Kiss my grits," and she was, definitely a huge star that really brought Alice and that show to the heights of the popularity. And her death follows, I think, 8 months after Alice co-star Linda Lavin. In fact, I think She was the last remaining star of Alice to still be alive. She was born July 2nd, 1937 in Jasper, Alabama. She was a stage actress, and then she went into television. Then she joined the show Alice in 1976, and then that went on, I believe, to the 80s. And then she had a sitcom, and then she had multiple other acting stints. So, just sad to see her go. 1-877-DOC Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So one thing we take for granted is when we take medications, are we doing something that could affect the effectiveness of it? Now, many of us are warned about grapefruit juice because grapefruit juice can interfere with the metabolism of our medications. But very interestingly, I apologize, my volume is up, I apologize. The artificial sweetener sucralose that is in a lot of diet sodas could interfere with your cancer treatment. Sucralose in diet soda, low-calorie snacks, powdered sugar substitutes could interfere with the immunotherapy of cancer patients, making it less effective. This is according to research from the University of Pittsburgh and UPMC Hillman Cancer Center. The study looked at 132 patients with melanoma, one of the deadliest forms of skin cancer, and non-small cell lung cancer, the most common type of lung cancer. And all patients taking anti-PD-1, which is a type of immunotherapy, either alone or in combo with chemo, completed dietary questionnaires, and they also had to reveal how much artificial sweeteners they consumed. And the researchers found that the patients who consumed high levels of sucralose had a worse response to immunotherapy and poorer survival than those who consumed lower amounts. They said, we found that sucralose impeded the effectiveness of immunotherapies across a range of cancer types, stages, and treatment modalities. This is according to Associate Professor at Pitt and hematologist at UPHC Hillman Cancer Center. Now, this isn't that shocking. I mean, we in medicine know that there are things you could do that could interfere with your treatment course. Antibiotics could interfere with somebody's birth control efficacy and effectiveness. So that this isn't necessarily something new, but what is shocking is the amount of people consuming these artificial sweeteners. I just don't trust them. You know, we have such an addiction and a dependency on sweet that if we don't want the sugar or the calories, we put these chemicals into our body, these artificial sweeteners, and we don't understand what their effect could be on our bodies. And I think we take that for granted. Also, what I think we need to do is when you look at individuals who do well with cancer therapy and those who don't, are we looking at what their diet was, what their radiation exposure was, where they were living? Why did it work for one and not for another? I am very glad that Jimmy Carter survived his melanoma. I think Jerry Jones also had melanoma. You have individuals who have survived their melanoma, whereas Kelly Clarkson's husband didn't and died at the age of 42. Was it the same type of melanoma? And if it was, why did one survive it when another didn't? Is it that if you get melanoma when you're older, it kills you less aggressively? Now, some people could say, well, Dr. Daliah, that is interesting because younger, men with prostate cancer don't make it as long as older men with prostate cancer. Yeah, but it could be a different form. It could be more aggressive. It could be, it could have been caught at a later stage because people were young and they weren't getting screened. So there's a lot of different variables. But, should we just blatantly tell people stop it with the diet drinks? There's no nutritional value. I personally do not think soda pop should be on SNAP benefits. If it's supplemental nutrition, I have yet to find any nutritional value to soda or diet soda. So get those off SNAP benefits. But when somebody has cancer and they're struggling and they're nauseated, see, when I'm nauseated, I don't like taking pills, but I like drinking a little Coca-Cola. And it doesn't have to be diet. I'll drink the regular Coca-Cola. God forbid I struggle with cancer later and I'm nauseated. I'm going to drink a full Coca-Cola. But we might need to, look at our, instructions and our recommendations because I think there's a lot of things that we might be exposed to, food colorings. I told you I got some Jordan almonds, and my son said there's titanium dioxide in that. And I was like, that's right. I thought we were getting rid of titanium dioxide. We still have candy, but no. And titanium dioxide can be carcinogenic. Now, there's a lot of backlash, against RFK Jr. And I was some doctors told me that they have asked that he be fired, and I wanted to tell them, can you just wait until he helps us with figuring out why autism is spiking, why kids have so much chronic disease, why obesity is so big. Can you wait until he cleans up these food preservatives? I am blown away at how the medical community is mixed as it pertains to RFK Jr. I mean, apparently some were bragging about what the AAFP had done, backing up the American Academy of Pediatrics for widespread COVID vaccination, and I had said, look, this wasn't very popular, especially with parents and other doctors, because we all want high risk individuals and everybody to have access, but we do need to revisit if widespread recommendation is necessary. We do need to revisit what's in our food. We do need to revisit what we're putting in, and is it necessary? Does our food need to be bright, fluorescent colors that you could see from, the International Space Station? Or can our food look more dull colored so that we eliminate a lot of the chemicals going into our body? Why not look at that? And now we're having study after study saying a lot of the things we're consuming could be interfering with not only our daily health, but cancer therapy. If I'm going to be spending that kind of money on immunotherapy and I'm going to be fighting cancer, I'm going to want to make sure my body has all the tools it needs. And I probably would cut back on any of the artificial stuff. It's just not worth it. You do see this trend, eating clean. And I see my friends kind of make fun of my other friends who are eating clean. I'm on a clean diet. I'm doing clean eating. Good for you. Good for you. I want us to look at our bodies and understand they're our temple. And I think we abuse our body a lot. We abuse it, in the sun. I abuse my joints. I was running on asphalt. I didn't have a lot of money for fancy shoes, so my shoes were, whatever I could wear, whatever I could buy. Did I buy the best tennis shoes? Did I really take care of, myself orthopedically? No. Now, did I get physical therapy on my knees? No. And I abused it, and now I got some pretty bad joints. So protect your body. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.